skilled labor, and its contribution to manufacturing industry in the production of building materials and furnishing, as well as the provision of both construction and mortgage financing. Notwithstanding these attributes, as a country, we have not been able to provide housing that meets the needs and the financial capacities of majority of Ghanaians, requiring some level of support to access housing. There is a great disparity between housing costs and income level of people, which raises the question of access and affordability. I therefore reckon that the selection of the theme for this event, affordable housing for every Ghanaian, a myth or possibility, could not have come up at a more appropriate time than now. For there is the need for a deeper collaboration between government and the private sector to create the needed opportunities to make it possible for majority of our population to have access to decent, safe, secure, quality, affordable housing. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, affordable housing can be defined as housing that is reasonably adequate in standard and location for low to middle income households, and according to the UN Habitat, families who pay more than 30% of their income for housing are considered cost burden and may have difficulty affording necessities such as food, clothing, transportation, and medical care. Therefore, for housing to be deemed as affordable, the housing cost should not exceed 30% of the household income, be it for purchase, mortgage, rental, or rent to own, although recent policies allow for 40% of incomes to service third-party commitment. The reality is that governments have struggled over the years to provide housing at a cost affordable to low to middle income population, and this can be attributed to our inabilities to supply housing that meets the general low income levels of majority of the population. This certainly requires putting in place sustainable policies and programs aimed at ensuring that the issue of affordable housing no longer becomes a myth, but a possibility. Additionally, achieving affordable housing requires innovation and a workable framework, which places emphasis on the entire ecosystem when it comes to the delivery of affordable housing. There is the need to look at our own circumstances and ask what it takes to achieve affordability for those whose means are limited. For example, land cannot be acquired from the open market in the main cities of the country on a traditional 100 by 80 feet per plot basis for the purpose of affordable housing and hope to result in a degree of affordability. Distinguished guests, to achieve the affordable housing that we all crave for and further create the needed opportunity for the majority of the country's urban population, government acting through the Ministry of Works and Housing and other stakeholders have developed a framework to drive a new affordable housing program. This framework intends to use an appropriate mix of public and private sector investments that meet the needs of the financial capacity of the average Ghanaian. Accordingly, the ministry has identified each of the components or cost drivers that contributes to the cost of an affordable housing unit and has mapped out specific strategies targeted at each of these components with the sole objective of making housing affordable for the large section of the Ghanaian population. As mentioned earlier, the focus is to look at the entire ecosystem, which, when it comes to housing delivery, this highlights the following: land through the repossession of public lands and engagements with traditional leaders, emphasizing transportation linkages to these lands and taking advantage of the infrastructural services available. Provision of infrastructure through dedicated financing and synergies with other infrastructure sectors. Local building materials and its impact on housing costs. Planning and design through establishment of space standards to benefit from economies of scale and avoid wastage. And sustainable and cheaper means of construction finance, as well as long-term mortgage financing. Through this, government commits to reduce up to 40% of the construction costs through the provision of land, infrastructure services, and some tax incentives and exemptions in support of affordable housing program. This, we believe, will be pivotal in addressing the supply side constraint of the housing market. On the contrary, government has planned to scale up the National Housing and Mortgage Fund, which was piloted in 2020 to stimulate the demand side of the housing market and create more access to affordable housing for the low to middle income earners. Government is also considering how prospective home buyers could use their Tier 2 and Tier 3 pension fund to support their mortgage, especially in the area of initial deposits. Again, the ministry is poised to be the forebearer in the use of local building materials for construction. This drive has arisen because of its attendant benefit of reducing construction costs in the long run. It is envisaged that every developer who wants to partner government in our affordable housing drive will incorporate the use of local building materials such as bent bricks, compressed earth blocks, etc. in the construction of these affordable housing units. Such an initiative will go a long way to reduce building costs and ensure the provision of affordable housing or affordable accommodation while boosting the local economy. Certainly, this model presents the opportunity to attract long-term and sustainable financing for the low to medium income earners without government providing guarantees and off-takers to attract private sector developers. Let me take this opportunity to urge all developers within the housing sector to embrace this current framework of government and partner with banks and other financial institutions to invest more in the provision of affordable housing, where the housing deficit is prevalent. In fact, the future of real estate in Ghana is in the provision of affordable housing, and I want to urge all of you developers to come to that direction. It is only through this that we can reach out to the majority of our citizens and positively affect the lives of the larger population. It is on this note that I now have the singular honor and indeed the pleasure to declare the Business 24 Real Estate Conference 2021 duly open. Thank you very much, and God bless you all. Appreciate it.